All right, let's talk about something that disrupts the lives of millions of people, but we often just suffer through it in silence. We're talking about waking up in the middle of the night every single night just to use the bathroom. In this explainer, we're going to break down not just why it's happening, but a clear step-by-step strategy to get your sleep back for good.
You know the feeling, right? The alarm clock glows, 3 a.m., and for what feels like the 100th time, you're making that sleepy trek to the bathroom. It doesn't just interrupt your sleep, it completely shatters it. It leaves you drained for the next day, and you're left wondering, is this just a normal part of getting older?
Well, there's actually a medical term for this. It's called nocturia. And according to Dr. Grace Prescott, a urologist with over 20 years of experience, a lot of what we've been led to believe about it is just plain wrong.
So, just how common are we talking? Well, the number is pretty staggering. Up to 70% of adults over the age of 60 deal with nocturia. So if this is you, trust me, you're not alone. But this is where Dr. Prescott makes a really crucial point.
And this quote gets right to the heart of it. Just because it's common, that does not make it normal, and it certainly doesn't make it harmless. Dr. Prescott sees it as an alarm bell, a signal that something in your body is out of whack. And ignoring that alarm, well, that comes with some very real dangers.
Yeah, the consequences here are so much more serious than just feeling a little groggy. Dr. Prescott tells these stories of her patients, people like Michael, a 72-year-old ship model builder whose hands started trembling from sleep deprivation, or Susan, a retired teacher who took a fall during a late-night bathroom trip and fractured her hip. These aren't just anecdotes, they're serious warnings.
The dangers really fall into 4 key areas. First, the most immediate one, the risk of falls and fractures when you're stumbling around in the dark. Second, your brain health. Chronic sleep disruption literally stops your brain from cleaning itself out at night, which can lead to brain fog, memory problems, and who knows what else long-term. Third, your heart. Every time you jolt awake, your body pumps out stress hormones, putting your heart under strain night after night. And finally, there's the emotional toll. That constant fatigue leads to irritability, anxiety. It just grinds you down.
So what's actually going on in our bodies? Why does this happen as we age? Well, it boils down to 3 main things. First, your body starts producing less of a hormone called ADH at night. That's the hormone that tells your kidneys to chill out while you sleep. Second, your bladder's functional capacity can decrease. And third, this one's a biggie, fluid that pools in your legs during the day gets reabsorbed into your bloodstream when you lie down, making a beeline for your kidneys to process.
Now here's where it gets really interesting. Many of the common sense solutions people try, they actually make the problem worse. So let's debunk a few of the biggest myths that might be totally sabotaging your sleep right now.
This first one is by far the most common trap people fall into. And the logic seems to make sense, right? Less water in means less urine out. But it turns out your body's a lot more clever than that.
Here's the paradox. When you dehydrate yourself all day, your urine becomes super concentrated. And that concentrated urine acts as an irritant to the lining of your bladder. It basically makes your bladder feel agitated and hypersensitive, sending you the signal to go even when it's not even close to full.
Okay, the next myth is all about misplaced blame. It is so easy to just think, well, I guess I was just born with a small bladder. But what if the size of the tank isn't the problem at all?
You see, the real issue usually isn't the container, it's the factory. Your kidneys are working the night shift, just pumping out urine because of those hormone changes and the fluid shifts we just talked about. You could have the world's biggest bladder, but if your kidneys are constantly overproducing, you're still going to wake up.
And finally, we have to talk about the nightcap myth. So many people think a little bit of alcohol helps them unwind and drift off to sleep. But when it comes to nocturia, this is one of the most destructive habits you can have.
This is a total double whammy for your sleep. First, as you probably know, alcohol is a diuretic, which means it just makes you produce more urine. But even worse, it actively blocks the release of that super important ADH hormone. So you're adding liquid while simultaneously disabling the body's natural brakes. It's the absolute perfect recipe for a 3 a.m. wake-up call.
Okay, so we busted the myths, we know what not to do. Let's get to the good stuff, the solution. And this is not about drinking less, it's about drinking smarter. Dr. Prescott calls it the ASIM method. It's a 5-step strategy for managing your fluids all day long to make sure your nights are actually for sleeping.
ASIM is just an acronym. Adjust, soothe, stop, integrate, and manage. So let's walk through it. First, adjust your timing. You're going to front-load your hydration. Get about 75% of your daily fluids in before 4 p.m. Next, soothe. You just gently taper off your intake as the afternoon goes on. Then, the most important step, stop. Create a strict no liquid zone for 2 full hours before bed. In the morning, you'll integrate. Add a tiny pinch of sea salt and lemon to your water to help your cells actually absorb it better. And finally, manage your dinner. Avoid things that irritate the bladder like spicy foods, caffeine, or lots of sugar.
Now, if you think of the ASIM method as the powerful engine, these next 3 techniques are like the high-performance tires. They work together with your smart hydration to really maximize your chances of sleeping right through the night.
First up is something called double voiding. Right before you get into bed, go to the bathroom. Then just wait a minute and try again. You'll be surprised how often a little bit more comes out, and that little bit can buy you hours of sleep. Second is gravity assist. Remember that fluid pooling in your legs? Just elevate them for an hour or 2 in the evening. This lets your kidneys process that fluid before you go to bed, not after. And third, salt control. Too much sodium makes your body hold on to water and makes you thirsty. Just watch out for processed foods, especially later in the day.
Okay, so we've covered the problem, we've busted the myths, and we've laid out a really powerful multi-part solution. Now it's all about putting this knowledge into action. And this isn't just about making small tweaks. This is about transforming your quality of life.
So what's the potential here? Let's go back to Michael, the shipbuilder. After just 2 weeks on this plan, he reported sleeping for 7 hours straight. He said his hands stopped shaking, and he felt, and I love this quote, alive again. That is the power of getting real, uninterrupted sleep. So here's the bottom line. Your action plan can start tonight. Let's recap it. Front load your fluids. Create that hard 2-hour no liquid zone before bed, no cheating. Use the double void technique to make sure the tank is truly empty. Use gravity to your advantage and elevate your legs while you're relaxing in the evening, and just be a little more mindful of the salt in your dinner. The knowledge is here and the tools are simple. You have everything you need. So the only question left is this. When you finally get that deep, restorative, uninterrupted night of sleep, what are you going to do with all that newfound energy?